Let's go,
He
y'all.
concluded the 70s with Off the Wall. He reigned over the 80s with Thriller and Bad, and successfully reinvented himself in the 90s with Dangerous.
Damn right.
But after a wave of controversy that would otherwise end the career of a lesser artist, Michael Jackson showed the boldness of not only making a comeback with pop hits but to hit back at those who seek to bring him down. All of the anger, sadness, and mixed emotion he felt in the mid-90s all cultivated in the creation of his 9th solo studio album, History. Past, Present, and Future Book 1.
By the way, to all the wrestling fans out there, you know this theme song, right? Jerry the King Lawler. Come on, man. Shout out to, well, actually not shout out to Jerry the King Lawler, because you want to talk about somebody that should have had the FBI on him. Anyway, my bad. Go ahead.
This was Jackson's story, his most personal work. Its creation followed a tumultuous period in Jackson's life that saw his image and reputation the subject of accusations, rumor, and hearsay. Stoically silent through most of the preceding years, Jackson answered his critics in the best way he knew through his music. Recorded over an 8-month period from September 1994 to March 1995, history sees Jackson stepping out of his isolation and back into the spotlight with a lot on his mind. The album includes appearances by Janet Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, Slash, and the Notorious B.I.G. The genres span R&B, pop, hip-hop.
Look at that jacket, boy. Hot damn.
Elements of hard rock and funk rock. The themes include environmental awareness, isolation, greed, suicide, injustice, and Jackson's conflicts and common ground with the media. Packaged as a double disc of greatest hits, History begins, and a side of new material, History continues. History allowed you as a listener to look back, and for Michael as an artist to look forward. Despite the obvious safe bet of the inclusion of a greatest hits disc, what people wanted to hear was the new material.
I will say this, though. It was very genius marketing by Michael or whoever his team is to be like, with everything going on with Michael during that time, it's like, let me remind them what I've done for them, what I've done in the music and output I've done for them. So it was very smart for them to do a greatest hits in a disc for the first disc. That was very smart of them to do.
Not only because it was new Michael Jackson songs, but perhaps more so as this was his first artistic venture since allegations were leveled against him. Questions swirled in the lead up to the release. Would Jackson address the accusations? Would he ignore them and remain insular? If he had chosen to simply release an album of dance floor targeted hits, he would be crucified by the press for being detached from reality.
I said the same thing, bro. I said it in my reaction. Go check out my Michael Jackson History full album reaction. If he just would have did a "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," a Thriller now, I'd be like, the fuck? Like, nah, we want to hear like what you really think. And from the jump start, from Scream to Smile, we know what type of time he's on. We know he was innocent, bro. And he addressed that in a very artistic, beautiful way.
He did confront the slings and arrows hurled against him. Would that be enough, or, as some critics would later argue, too much? For those that saw Jackson as someone shielded from the real world and lost in a fantasy of his own making, the album is brutally honest and raw, firmly cemented in the reality of what it was like to live through the preceding years.
That's so dope.
This was his side of the story, History. And Jackson wasn't pulling any punches. This documentary is on History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. Arguably Michael Jackson's final artistic triumph, and we're gonna dive into its impact.
Let's make history.
Following the abrupt conclusion of the Dangerous era in 1993, Michael returned in 1995 with plans for a grand album. Launched with promotional video accused of being influenced by Nazi film Triumph of the Will, Jackson's denied these allegations. However, the promotion would set the tone for the controversy and kingly presence that would loom around this album cycle. With History, Past, Present and Future, Book 1, the King of Pop was determined to reinvent and reimagine himself as what he believed the world viewed him as, a monument. And he needed cover art to match. When Sony asked Michael about promo ideas for the eventual world tour, among other things, He suggested that Sony, quote, build a statue of him. Michael had a vision of a marble statue that resembled Rush's The Motherland Calls.
I told you, that is a very boss thing to be like, what do you want to do for this one, Michael? Yeah, build me a statue. It's like, okay, Mike. Now, I ain't gonna lie, that is very egotistical of Mike, but come on, man. You're the greatest artist in the world, nigga. He should have a statue in every continent. Legit. Like, I was thinking, like, where should he put the statue in the U.S.? I'm trying to think of somewhere that would actually be appropriate. Well, put it in Gary, Indiana. But yeah, he should have a statue in every continent for what he's done for the world. But yeah, it's very Michael of him to do that too, by the way. Like, he really...
Created by Yevgeny Vuchetich in 1967. Eventually, well-known illustrators and designers were summoned to start sketching what would be the future cover of the album. The result was dozens of designs that were put to Michael's consideration. All the sketches were based on the costumes used by Michael in his 1993 Super Bowl halftime appearance. One of these sketches was done by Drew Struzan, known for his illustrations of major Hollywood productions like E.T., Back to the Future, and Indiana Jones. The design would go through many alterations and corrections by Jackson himself. Concept sketches were put to consideration by Nancy Donald. The company, Kleiser Walczak Construction Company, was chosen by the art directors to realize this project. Diana Walczak would be in charge of modeling the statue in its first clay phase. With limited time, and Diana being 7 months pregnant, the photo session was scheduled for May 1994 in New York City. The idea was to capture Michael in his desired pose from different angles in order to have a comprehensive perspective that would serve as a basis for the sculpture. Although Michael was asked to pose without any makeup in order to properly translate the photos to a three-dimensional model, he spent half the time in wardrobe and arrived in full makeup. Diana Walczak was under the wire to create the sculpture modeling, which by her own surprise, could not imagine that this sculpture was going to become the basis for a worldwide promotional campaign of such magnitude. It took about 8 months between the start of the project and the confirmation that this image was going to be used to illustrate the album. I jumped for joy when, in 1995, they announced that the statue was going to serve as the final cover for the album. I went to New York to admire this huge panel with the final result in Times Square.
So it wasn't even supposed to originally be like the cover art. It was just going to be promotion. Wow. Yeah, it's like after seeing that, I was like, you got to make that the cover art. You got to do it. Like, yeah. Wow. And it also makes sense after doing the circus theme for Dangerous. Like, it makes so much sense to make that the art for history, especially history museum. It's like, come on. So that was very dope. 8 months, wow. And she was 7 months pregnant. And like to take 8 months to do that, like you could tell, like it was what a great statue, man.
What was your opening piece? I just want to write yours down.
So I'm tired of injustice. I'm tired of the scheme. Your lies are disgusting. So what does it mean?
Okay, wait, let me write.
When kicking me down.
When kicking me down.
I got to get up.
I got to get up.
As bad as it sounds.
As bad as it sounds.
The whole system.
The opening track to the album would be the pop-funk track Scream, which would set the tone for the new era. An aggressive, retaliatory song directed at the tabloid media. It was written, composed, and produced by Michael Jackson and in a show of solidarity his sister Janet Jackson along with her longtime collaborators Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Recording for Scream took place at the Hit Factory in New York City in October 1994 and at Flight Time Studios in Edina, Minnesota in December 1994. And for those who thought Michael would tread lightly, the first verse showed he was instead going to tackle things head-on.
Head on.
The song starts. Michael turns into the Tasmanian Devil.
With a hard-hitting beat grounding the track, Michael and his sister Janet trade verses in a unified attack at the injustice, frustration, and pressure that being in the public light delivers. From the opening lines, Jackson is at his most direct and confronting as he spits out a 1-2 punch, tired of injustice, tired of the schemes. He clearly and succinctly lets you know exactly how he feels about everything that has transpired.
And again, this is the first time you would hear from Michael since everything went down. He wasn't doing any interviews. He completely shunned the media, as he rightfully should have. And just to start off that song with Scream was such a genius thing to do, an appropriate thing to do. Like, and with having it be with his sister, it's like, I'm so glad they did that, bro. Like, just to be like, no, we stand and we family, we stand together. You know, like everybody that's a Michael Jackson fan, we all a family. We're gonna stand together in solidarity as well. Like, just And I love Janet's verses too.
Jackson confronts the gossip and accusations on everyone's mind as he sings. Tired of you telling the story your way, it's causing confusion. You think it's okay? And shows that there is a cost to be paid for editorials that chase sensationalism over facts. Janet adds, keep changing the rule while I keep playing the game. I can't take it much longer. I think I might go insane.
You're changing the rule, boy. I keep playing the game. I can take it much longer. I think I might go insane.
Highlighting the mental toll paid for the price of fame. This is an artist's response to the idea that if you are in the public eye, then everything is fair game. This is Jackson mad as hell and not going to take it anymore.
Facts.
With each passing chant of, "Stop pressuring me," the tension builds to the breaking point with Michael and Janet finally lashing out. With its industrial funk hard edge, Scream was the answer to those nagging questions. The music video, directed by Mark Romanek, cost around $7 million. After constant reshooting, it was listed in the Guinness World Records as the most expensive music video ever made. It won 3 MTV Video Music Awards and the Grammy Award for Best Music Video. As the lead single, Scream would become the first single in the 37-year history of Billboard to debut at number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 100, where it peaked. Jackson's reintroduction showcased his desire to no longer play nice anymore, but also to fly into space and just scream.
Even though, again, I said it before, I would have given anything for them just to perform that at the MTV Awards. Like, I would have given anything. As much as I think Michael's performance at the MTV 1995 VMAs was one of his greatest, if not one of the greatest performances ever, I still would have loved for him. He could have did the whole medley and did Dangerous and then ended it with Scream. I think I would have been, to die for. It would have been to die for, darling. Oh, my God. Like, yeah. But it is what it is. At least we got Janet to do it in remembrance to him. So
There's a song I wrote, which is the most honest song I've ever written.
Childhood.
It's the most autobiographical song I've ever written. It's called Childhood.
The lead single would be released as a double A-side with the juxtaposing and orchestral song Childhood. The quieter moments on the album also are some of its strongest, or at least most intriguing. The raw and reflective Childhood has Jackson lamenting a life in the spotlight against a beautiful, and borderline Broadway, orchestra arrangement that Jackson claimed was the song people should listen to if they really wanted to understand him. It would become the main theme song for Free Willy 2, the adventure home during the scene where the character Elvis runs away, continuing his association with the Free Willy series. The disgraced former Pied Piper of R&B would go on to pen the second single from the album You Are Not Alone. It is notable for being the first single to ever debut at number 1 on the Hot 100. A demo tape was sent to Jackson, who liked the song and decided to produce it. Jackson's interest in the song was also linked to events in his personal life. The music video, which was inspired by Daybreak by Maxfield Parrish, featured Jackson and his then-wife Lisa Marie Presley in a semi-nude display. Jackson had a long
I'm going to do a reaction. You're Not Alone is is my least favorite Michael Jackson music video. And we're going to do a reaction to it just so I can break it down more why. It's not really much to break down, but yeah, there's a short list of Michael Jackson videos I don't like. Short films, whatever you want to call it. That's one of them. But yeah, going back to childhood real quick, just that I think is the antithesis of, like, that explains Michael to a T. I think that Earth song, like, explains Michael to a T, who he is as a human being, as a person. So yeah, but yeah, that childhood video, oh my God. You want to talk about best music videos. It's simplistic, but yet it's so, like, awe-inspiring, and it's sad, but it's hopeful. It's gleeful, but it's gloomy. Like, oh my God. So yeah, I had to just go back to talking about that childhood music video real quick, because, oh my God. In the song itself. I don't know how I didn't cry. Doing a reaction to the music video, the recording, and listening to it back, which you can watch all 3 of those videos on my channel. The music video, the recording, him actually recording the song, and playback, me actually just listening to a song itself.
History of releasing socially conscious songs such as We Are the World, Man in the Mirror, and Heal the World, Earth Song, was his first to overtly discuss the environment and animal welfare. Earth Song had been in development since the Bad album session in the late 80s.
Really?
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said would come again? What about wishing wells? What about time? What about all the things that you said was all mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the things you've done before? Did you ever stop to notice how I'm walking out the door?
What? There's a demo for this? What About
Written
Us?
by Jackson and
Whoa. There's an actual, so this was 88? Get the fuck out of here. Wow. I did not know that he wrote this back in 88. Wow. So I would probably make an educated guess that this is either going to be this song or Will You Be There, which fits the Free Willy. Earth Song would have fit the Free Willy joint as well. So he decided to just do Will You Be There instead of Earth Song. Wow, I did not know that was a demo back in 88. Wow. Okay.
produced by Jackson, David Foster, and Bill Bottrell. Earth Song was accompanied by a lavish music video which was shot in 4 geographical regions, centered on the destruction and rebirth of Earth, and went on to receive a Grammy nomination in 1997. The song topped the UK singles chart for 6 weeks over Christmas in 1995 and sold 1 million copies there, making it his most successful United Kingdom single, surpassing the success of his single, Billie Jean. Earth Song begins soft and billowy and builds to a choral crescendo.
I thought to myself, what a beautiful, tasteful song. Yeah. I must make Michael's vocal on Earth Song sound absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
And I love to use the word elegant to describe this vocal sound. Yeah. So I got out my Telefunken U47 tube condenser mic that I bought new the first year that B and I were married. It's still a gorgeous microphone. Listen to Earth Song on your best speakers at an SPL of no more than 105. Sit in the triangulated center and turn off all the lights and don't talk. Just listen. You'll get the picture.
Did you ever stop to notice all the children dead from war? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shore?
It's part lullaby and part requiem, haunting and bombastic, leaving behind the soft falsetto conclusion of the demo for a grandiose yell for environmental change. It's one of Michael's most powerful moments as a composer and singer.
Michael put his heart and his soul, that motherfucker, boy. He put his foot in it. Like, Lord have mercy. Like, he put his foot in that goddamn song, bro. Top 5 Michael Jackson song of all time, dog.
On the potent groove of This Time Around, Jackson rails against those who look for their own gain as he pointedly sings, "Somebody's out to use me, and then falsely accuse me." In a searing rhyme fest, the notorious B.I.G. reiterates that betrayal can come from every corner.
Another funny story is, so after we finished, we was working on the song, he goes, "Man, I really want a rapper. You know, I need a rapper on the song." So I was like, "Well, maybe you want like Tretch from Naughty by Nature." You know, I said, No, I need somebody harder or something." I said, "Well, you want like Notorious Big, B.I.G.?" Yeah. What about him? You know, so I called.
That's so like, yeah. So as Michael speaking softness, like, I want somebody. I need somebody hard. And I go, yeah. That's funny. So man, Michael was tapped in, bro. He was tapped into everything. That's what makes him and like people like Prince, like, you got to be tapped in, man, to everything that's going on. That's so cool.
Puff, like, I've been working with Michael Jackson stuff, man. Want Biggie to do a rap, man. Can you send him out here? Like, yeah, I'm sending him now. So Biggie comes out. Me and Biggie are riding around in the car, listening to the song, and he's writing the rap and smoking weed. And it's like, I just can't believe I'm sitting here with you guys, you know. And after he says the rap to me, he's got like, you know, a bunch of cuss words and niggas and toting guns and all this stuff is in the rap. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know if
I ain't gonna like that.
I don't know if it's gonna fly with Michael because it's got so many cuss words and you talk about gun toting and everything else and Indo smoke and so I was like, I'll tell you what though, let's just do it for him. Let's go in there and lay down the rap once, just let him hear it. You know, so he goes in, he takes the first take, he does the rap. I was like, well, let's let him hear it before we do the rest of it. So Michael comes in and hears it, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, this is kind of embarrassed in one sense because it's got so many street words in it. Yeah. Then Michael just goes, oh my God, this is perfect. I love it. That's exactly what I wanted to say. So like, there it is. So to this day, as we listen to This Time Around, you hear Biggie, you know, with all the gangster lyrics, and then Michael's just like, he just loved it to death.
Again, that's what I love about it is he's like, he didn't censor Biggie. Right, he allowed Biggie to be himself in his truest form. He allowed him to cuss Gun Token, Indo Smoke, like that's why people love Biggie for who Biggie is. That's why we love rap for what it is, right? Because it's unfiltered, it's unapologetic. Michael understood that. If I'm going to have Biggie on a record, I'm asking to get Biggie, not a censored version of him. Again, Michael understood, man. He said, "Nah, do all that. Put all that on there, man." Like I just loved that, man. It's just he understood what made art, man. Like woo.
In the protest song, They Don't Care About Us, Jackson takes the injustice and treatment he himself had been subjected to and broadens his focus to the historical mistreatment of minorities. He talks about police brutality, hate crimes, racial profiling, media narratives, and social injustice. And he does so in a way that blends his own experiences with those of the wider community. Fully aware that a question will forever hang over his head, he addresses the labels people are throwing at him and counters, "I'm tired of being the victim of shame, you're throwing me in a class with a bad name," followed by an observation that, "I can't believe this is the land from which I came."
I'm tired of being the victim of shame. You're throwing me in a class with a bad name. I can't believe this is the land from which I came.
With its constant rhythmic shunt, "They Don't Care About Us" is a rallying cry. One that gives voice to the ignored and confronts social injustice. It's no surprise then that in our current time of marches in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, it's a song that still strikes a chord with many.
It's sad. Like it's 2025, dog, and this song is just as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. Like that is it's insane. Like it's timeless, but like I wish it wasn't as timeless. But you know, the thing is about what he said in his records, the people that were accusing him, you know, the FBI agents and all this and the government officials and all this, like they're the ones that are really doing everything that they're saying that Michael is doing, though. That's what's crazy about it. If you want to make sense of all of it, everything that they're accusing Michael of doing is what the people that actually are in power are actually doing. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's just, again, Michael got out everything that we as a collective, as a society, as a people were feeling and thinking and wanted to say, didn't know how to say it. Michael said it, like using the strength of his ancestors to really get out that message, man. Like one of my favorite songs.
The video was accused of anti-Semitism given lyrics like,
"Chew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kite me, don't you black or white me. All I wanna say is
but Jackson emphatically insisted that he meant no offensive.
Agree to disagree maybe on what this means to some people watching it. There's been another issue raised. In a song you say, "Jew me, sue me," and some people are saying that that is anti-Semitic.
It's not anti-Semitic because I'm not a racist person. I could never be a racist. I love all races of people, from Arabs to Jewish people, like I said before, to blacks. But when I say Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me, don't you black or white me, I'm talking about myself as the victim.
The release of this song was accompanied by two
In the words of Kyrie Irving, I can't be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm not even here to... But I can't be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Lee directed music videos. The first one was a prison version that would receive little airplay due to its use of gruesome archived footage. A second video would be filmed. It was shot in Salvador and Rio de Janeiro and features Jackson singing and dancing as he is surrounded by crowds of enthusiastic looks. The video sees him go to former slave quarters screaming of injustice in a way of taking back the area to show his solidarity with the black community he had always been accused of being ashamed of. Perhaps the finest moment of the album, and there are many contenders, comes in the isolation and loneliness of Stranger in Moscow. Here Jackson pulls back the curtain and bares his soul as he aches about his swift and sudden fall from grace, and the mental anguish of being here abandoned in my fame, Armageddon of the brain. Stranger in Moscow is one of Jackson's finest moments on record. It's haunting, poetic, reflective and beautiful. But like many of the tracks on History, it has been overshadowed by bigger hits or flashier numbers. It really is a masterpiece of composition, arrangement and delivery.
Really is.
Stranger in Moscow was written when I was in Moscow on the Dangerous tour. And it was just a strange, eerie, lonely time for me. Outside my hotel was just a sea of faces of fans chanting and screaming. But I was inside my room and I felt so all alone, like I was like the last person on the planet. And in the song I say, how does it feel when you're alone and you're cold inside? I say it's like a stranger in Moscow, and that's pretty much how I felt. And the people were lovely. They were some of the nicest people I've ever met, and the concert was very successful. But that day, especially that day, I just felt this different feeling, and the song Stranger in Moscow came to me. So that's how that was written.
On Money, a song where Jackson squares off with those who use him for their own financial gain, to religious zealots who preach one thing then do the other, he drops in what feels like a throwaway line, questioning insurance. Where do your loyalties lie? Is that your alibi? I don't think so. At the time, it seemed innocuous enough. But years later, when an investigative journalist set out to nail Jackson to the wall, and revisited the behind-the-scenes machinations of the 1993 allegations and civil settlement, he discovered the settlement that many viewed as damning was somewhat forced upon Jackson by his insurance firm, who weighed up the costs of a lengthy trial over the issues of right and wrong.
The whole thing is a lie. The case, then? Why did you settle the case? And it looks to everyone as if you paid a huge amount of money.
Most of that's
to get
folklore.
silence.
I talked to my lawyers and I said, can you guarantee me that justice will prevail? And they said, Michael, we cannot guarantee you that a judge or a jury will do anything. And with that, I was like catatonic. I was outraged.
How much money
Totally
was it?
outraged. So what I said, I have got to do something to get out from under this nightmare. All these lies and all these people coming forward to get paid in these tabloid shows, just lies, 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 lies. So what I did, we got together again with my advisors, and they advised me, it was hands down, a unanimous decision, resolve the case. This could be something that could go on for 7 years.
The anger is war.
Again, go watch my Square One reaction, or go watch the Square One documentary that details, like, to a T what happened in that situation, because still, I understand Michael for selling, even though I don't like it, and selling is always going to be looked upon as a mission of guilt. But if you're in Michael Jackson's shoes and in his lawyers, in a way, they're like, this is a witch hunt. You're the lowest you've ever been publicly in terms of perception. We're currently in a state to where I wouldn't be shocked if a jury or a judge would lock up Michael just to say they did, right? You're still a black man in America. So it's like, you got a lot of things going against you right now. So even though there's no evidence of what would be accused of him, it's like, first of all, that doesn't matter in a system that wasn't made for us. But it's like, it's not looking good. Especially, I forget what the detail was. Like, a judge allows something. I wish I could remember what it was. But, like, the judge allowed something to occur to where the lawyer was like, well, if they're going to allow that, then we're in trouble. I wish I remember what it specifically was. But the judge allowed, like, something to be in the case or whatever. And they're like, why are we allowing that? Like, why would you do that? Like, so they were like, yeah, we can't win this small battle. We're not gonna. It's gonna be hard to win against this judge or this jury. So, yeah, I wish you would have fought it, but still, even though there's no evidence, that hasn't stopped that hasn't stopped the criminal justice system before. So at the same time, if he did fight it, even though there's no evidence, I don't trust the criminal justice system as far as I can throw him. That Michael would have been a free man. So who knows? Maybe that was the right thing to do.
Warranted and for the most part works. But there is the occasional misfire with the none too subtle DS. A bare bones rocker that sees Jackson throw down against DA Tom Sneddon. It's arguably one of the rare weaker moments on History. A curious inclusion for many was Jackson's cover of Come Together. Originally debuted as the climax to his Moonwalker film, Jackson offers a slight alteration for this new inclusion and delivers a cover on par with the Beatles' original. It's also somewhat amusing to see Jackson put his publishing catalog to work. But one could say the inclusion of this track was Jackson's way of using the rock song to take back the genre, which had been notably whitewashed by artists like Elvis and the Beatles, despite the genre's true origin coming from the black community.
I didn't think he was gonna go that route with it. Oh wow! I didn't think he was gonna go there with it. Okay, hey, do your thing, do your thug thizzle. Oh snap! Yeah. Yo, that's hilarious. I didn't think he was gonna go that route. Okay.
Jackson respected great artists and pioneers such as Chuck Berry and Jackie Wilson, even mentioning Jackie Wilson in his speech at the Grammys while winning for Album of the Year for his Thriller album.
I also would like to say something very important, that some people are entertainers and some people are great entertainers. Some people are followers and some people make the path and are pioneers. I like to say Jackie Wilson was a wonderful entertainer. He's not with us anymore, but Jackie, where you are, I'd like to say I love you and thank you so much.
The artist who had passed received a jump in sales just following Jackson's mention of him. Just another great example of Jackson's unity and respect for the black community.
I will say what I said, reiterate what I said in my History Full Reaction album reaction, is that I wish we could have got just an EP of Michael just covering all Beatles songs. Like, instead of doing Blood on the Dance Floor, which I made it known how much I don't care for that whole EP. Like Morphine. Which one day I do gotta do a reaction to that, which me and my sis Sasha was supposed to do a long time ago. So by chance you see this, yeah, I'm calling you out. But yeah, I wish you just would have did a EP of just all Beatles songs. So like Come Together, la da dee, la da da, la da da, la da da da, life goes on. Let It Be, Hold Your Hand, like just all the hits, right? Just to see his reinterpretation of it, I think it would have been dope. I'm actually shocked he did put Come Together on History. I would have thought for sure, if anything, he would have put it on Bad, or at the very latest Dangerous. I think Dangerous, Come Together on Dangerous, I think would have worked better. I think the theme of it and everything, I think would have worked better. But I still love Come Together, his interpretation of it, and his version of it, which I think is better than the original. But hey, what do I know?
So I'll take that and use that as the main foundation for the track and build all the sounds around that. So
look how much Michael enjoys just talking about
the
music.
persona-aware, tabloid junkie, reminiscent of the song Leave Me Alone off of Michael's Bad album, he sings at the media obsessed with being first over being right with the hooky refrain. Just because you read it in a magazine or see it on a TV screen, don't make it factual. The song is developed with the intention to be similar to that of the song The Knowledge, a song by his younger sister Janet's album Rhythm Nation.
4.
Prejudice.
The song's original title was Tabloid Jungle to almost view Michael as the prey everyone was after, but it was
It was always named Tabloid Jungle? What? Okay. I could actually see that too. Wow, okay.
later changed to Tabloid Junkie to portray the media's addiction to him.
Yeah, I think that's more
Elsewhere on
appropriate.
Too Bad, over a blistering folly of funk, Jackson bristles, cryin' wolf ain't like a man, throwin' rocks to hide your hands. The titular History is a whirling study of ambitious production, as Jackson switches between grounded beats and soaring choruses, whilst taking the listener on an oral history of the world in the process. And it surprisingly works as the joyous motivational moment of uplift on the album. The haunting Little Susie melds Pi Jesu with Sunrise Sunset from Fiddler on the Roof, which seems at odds with the more brash and hard-hitting moments of the album. But as the album unwinds in the final quarter, it works.
No, I disagree. Go ahead.
Closing out the album is Jackson's take on the Chaplin-penned Smile. Referenced as one of his favorite songs, Jackson also uses it as a bookend to the journey of history. You can see Jackson being drawn to its serene melody and hopeful lyrics, penned by John Turner and Jeffrey Parsons, that beckon him to smile through your heart is aching, smile, even though it's breaking. You can see the appeal. And Jackson delivers an earnest vocal that is moving and offers hope. History is a journey through the struggles of injustice and the ups and downs of life. It is an album that opens with a scream and ends with a smile. It is a cathartic expression of an artist who was expressing his suffering but also his innate optimism. All in all, the album is a successful comeback, accompanied with the long-running History World Tour, and its influence can be seen in artists of today.
Yeah, shout out to Iconic. I was trying my damnedest to find like any docs or anything on history. There's like really none, which is weird. So shout out to Iconic for like actually doing like a thorough history of history. Yeah, just I will stand on this hill. I don't care if it's by myself. By the way, shout out to MJ Fangirl, one of my favorite channels, by the way. Shout her out. Definitely go check her channel out. She had like we would talk about somebody that gets deep down into the weeds. She like interviews band members, backup singers, everybody, producers. Definitely go check out her channel. Shout out to her. But yeah, history. I will stand on the hill that history is his most important album because it's his most personal album. And as much as the fun-loving songs he's done, like Bad, or even Bad had a message, but like even though his fun-loving songs like PYT and all that is cool and dope and great, this album and collection of songs, from They Don't Care About Us to Scream to This Time Around to Earth Song to You Are Not Alone, these songs, Smile, I think are more timeless for what it meant and what it means. And I stand on that. So when I said, what was it, like a year ago when I did my unpopular Michael Jackson opinions, I said History is his second greatest album of his discography, only behind Thriller. I stand on that, and I will continue to stand on that. So definitely shout out to Michael Jackson's History. Happy 30th anniversary. We continue to play these albums, these records, and keep your memory alive and keep your message alive. So, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, share all the things of the things. Ain't gotta go home. You gotta get to step in. Peace. My best friend Hayes Soundwaves, I believe you should follow his Patreon. Join the millions of people just like me and join his Patreon today. If you don't, you'll be hit by a smooth criminal. No!